stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, Bobby, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Joe LaRue.
Here.
Chair Butch Schleier.
Here.
Commissioner Neil Younger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. No changes to the order of business. I don't believe there's any executive sessions today. Prior minutes, commissioners, did you get a chance to review prior minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Minutes stand as submitted. Consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Any issues from persons not on the order of business? One's jumping up. Monthly department report. Commissioners, did you get a chance to review the department report?
Yes.
Yeah, very thorough. Okay, and then the next agenda item is the 2023 budget adjustments and pay scales. Darren.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Before you today is the final decisions on and changes on what to do for salary adjustments for the employees and elected officials, department heads, courts, services for their appointed attorneys, the county administrator, and as well as the elected officials. Back in October, I believe it was the 4th commission meeting, the Wage and Benefit presented some options and recommendations to the county commission as to what they would like to see for salary adjustments next year. They were trying to take into account as much as they could in regards to the amount of money that the commission had set aside within the budget for 2023, as well as looking at the Social Security COLA adjustments for 23, as well as inflation. We all quickly realized, as the commission is aware, that inflation and the COLA raises are significant once again this year. Or for next year. So we tried to do the most we could. If you remember at that meeting, the commission also looked at the health insurance, the renewal rates, and at that point the commission decided to absorb half of the rate increases within the employee benefit funds to help burden that blow of the increases on the employees. And we also discussed at that point the pay scale in regards to several of the steps on the scale, or several of the grades on the pay scale were not even being used at all, and several of the pay grades are only extended out to steps 14, while some of the others in the county as well as with EMS go out to steps 20, which would kind of help with employee retention and recruitment, showing that you will have pay raises longer within your tenure with the county, as well as a higher end salary the longer you do stay. So good for longevity. At that point, the commission discussed it and decided a step for the pay raises would be a step into 3%. Since that point, I've had individual meetings with the commissioners several times, and we've discussed the different numbers of the changes that came in from the following months of when those original projections were presented to the commission. We've had when we budget for employees, we don't know what types of health plans and et cetera that they'll be taken when they start. And the other thing is we didn't know at that point how much money we would be saving truly from absorbing half of that money into the of the health insurance increases into the benefits fund. So running final numbers over the last week, week and a half, which I've visited with each of you about. We had a little bit more funding that within that $600,000 allotment due to those changes. And before you today, from your individual discussions, you like to see that instead of doing a step and a 5%, that would be, or a step and a 3%, that it would be changed to a step and a 5% COLA adjustment for all employees. That basically equates out to an average of about an 8% pay raise, which is very close to the inflation in COLA that we're seeing today. And then if you tack on the savings that they won't have to absorb from the health insurance, It should be pretty equalizing out on to the effect of what they're seeing in the market. So that average 8%, as I stated, that is the number that we would figure into the resolution that is attached, because resolutions are used to adjust the salaries of the elected officials. And then that would also be the same figure that we would use for the appointed attorneys for the courts, the county administrator, the medical director for the health and EMS departments as well. As the commissioner remembers, we did start adding the COLA adjustments in for the medical directors. One statement of clarification as to when the pay raises, if approved, would go into effect would be January 22nd, which would include the first full pay period within 2023. If we'd made it as of January 1st, that actually splits a pay period in between the two pay periods, which would impact somewhat of this year's budget for departments, which would be an unplanned increase. And clarification on who all would get the steps, as we've done in the past. Our pay policy states that to be eligible for those step increases, those would only be those to all the employees except for those that are on probation. So those that are on probation have either been recently promoted or recently started employment with the county within the last 6 months. They would then, if they started on step 1 of the pay scale, after their 6 months, they would then get that step raise at the end of their probation. So with all of that, I will sit for any questions you may have.
Well, what I see here too, Darren, is we set aside $600,000, and by making these current adjustments on this, we would still come in $21,000 below the budgeted amount. So we're still looking good in that department. And I for myself, if we can stay within that budgeted amount and give the employees another 2%, I'm all in favor of that. So, Commissioner Joe, what's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, no, anything to enhance our ability to recruit and, more importantly, retain our employees is something I'm going to be behind 100%. We can't control inflation, but we can control how we respond to it. And I think we've done what we could as an organization to respond well and come as close to a break even as we could for the employees. I'd also like to just ask the clarifying question. The commission salary does still remain the same, right?
Correct. I forgot to
Okay.
mention that. I did
Yeah.
ask each commissioner individually, and the elected officials would all change except for the commissioner's salaries. They would all remain the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I support that because unlike those other positions, this is not our full-time endeavor. So, but no, very supportive of it, and I hope that it helps convey the message to the employees how much we appreciate them.
Commissioner Neal?
I too appreciate all the our employees, and it's also included in here too for the GIS analyst, correct? For in this same.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for also pointing that out. So if
Okay.
you see the total cost of the adjustments are over $600,000, but within the 2023 budget, by the time the commission made the final decision to add the GIS analyst position, we had $600,000 set aside for the step and pay raises alone, and then we had about $78,000 set on top of that for the GIS analyst position. So
Okay.
total, we had $678,000. However, between all of it, we were about $1,500 over on estimate because of the pay increase for that position, but we're still over $20,000 under budget collectively between the two of them.
And I would like to add, as commissioners, we're all trying, so that way, hopefully in the future here, we can recruit some more, people. Once this gets out in the public, then that's a plus for us and our community too. So, but very supportive of this.
Okay. Commissioners, do I hear a motion for this?
Sure. I move to adopt Resolution 22-17 to adjust salaries for elected officials, approve the attached pay scale updates, and to approve the attached general budget adjustments for step raises and a 5% cost of living adjustment effective January 22nd, 2023.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Darren. Okay, County Administrator report. Darren?
Just a couple of things this morning. As you noticed, probably maybe a little surprised when you got here this morning, our parking lot is blocked off due to construction. Glassman notified us yesterday that they had crane operations that were needing to do the completes and progress for the roof-mounted units that are being added to the HVAC for this project. So apologize for the inconvenience for our employees and the public that they may present. Hopefully, they're hoping to be done by noon. But that'll be one of 2 lifts that they'll be doing. This is for all the fresh air units and the new units that go over the mezzanine area outside in the center of the building. Here in a couple weeks, they'll come back to take off the chillers off the roof, or the condensers off the roof, and then set the new chiller outside on the new pad. So it'll be disrupted again probably in early December when that comes up. The next item is I visited with the commission beforehand just to show you some pictures. We got some conceptual designs for the new Public Works facility yesterday. Met with Public Works staff and the architect to kind of go over a first rough draft revision of them. And hopefully come mid-December, we're hoping that we can have a special meeting with the commission, invite our 2 new incoming commissioners so that way they can see the new floor plans and designs and everything, budget estimates, and a timeline of how to proceed. And I have Public Works staff there. We'll just have a joint meeting and try to tie it in with a regular commission meeting and go over all that so we can progress through that and hopefully move to phase 2 of the project after the first of the year, which would be going into the design of the facility. So hopefully answered a lot of your questions of what I showed you this morning. But other than that, I appreciate the thoughts personally for what the commission is doing to help recruit, retain our employees, and the considerations you're giving on the adjustments. I did pass along to the Wage and Benefit Committee, and they were very surprised and appreciative as well. And the chair of that committee wanted me to express that to you. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to County Commissioner reports. Commissioner Joe?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Commissioner Neal?
I guess I attended one of the city meetings, and then last night I attended the Shenshin meeting, and I'll get with Brendan after this about some signage over there that we're going to put in for him. So that's all I have.
Okay. Just a reminder to the board that we will be canvassing the election on Thursday, is that correct?
That's correct, at 8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock in the morning.
Thank God.
So, Joe, that's another early morning for you. Okay, and I have no report. There's not any more business. The meeting will end here at 8:43.